Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Do you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Ryan Gosling.
Why do you hate Ryan Gosling?
Mostly his performance and face.
Oh, really? In this particular movie or in general?
No, I thought he was delightful in this. We need to open the show in the standard, do you know what I hate? And he's very handsome and talented, so therefore I hate him.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Especially in The Nice Guy.
It's nice to be nice, as my mother once said. It's good to be good, and it's fun to be fun.
My one kind of takeaway, my one major question about this film, I can't figure out if I like Ryan Gosling in this. I think he's doing a great job. But I almost feel like a different actor would have been better. And I don't even know who. He feels slightly miscast. Even though, he's charming, he's fine, but maybe he's either not funny enough or too funny. There's something that's just not quite right about him in the role.
He's awfully pretty. Maybe that's your beef compared to the gruff, ham-faced Russell Crowe. And they don't play up his prettiness. But I don't know. I'm making up your opinions for you.
Yeah. No, generally I do hate pretty people. So this that's a fine guess. I don't take anything away from that. It's the kind of goofball detective trope, getting hit by a car and being so loose he doesn't get hurt, he's falling off of stuff, kind of a drunk. That's kind of a stock character. And I guess I wanted him to be the actor playing that to be either funnier or more straight, or I don't know. I don't even know if I believe this. It's just something about it. I just kept questioning any time there was that comedic kind of getting spun around by a car or something like that. I kept thinking, man, there's probably somebody that would have done that better. I don't even know who,
okay.
You know what I'm thinking of is if we had a time machine, I wish 1986 Steve Martin was in that role.
All right. I could see that as a casting choice. I happen to like Ryan Gosling in this, and particularly as soon as you say, sort of more funny physicality stuff, the first thing that comes to my mind is when he's emerging from the bathroom stall and he's trying to hold the gun on Russell Crowe.
That scene worked for me.
Very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. That scene worked for me. That was one of the, it's not that they didn't work, the rest of them. I just thought it landed. It's mostly they getting spun around kind of physical stuff. Just didn't quite, the rolling down the hill just felt weird. Oh, who cares?
Well, some of those, I will admit that some of those instances felt a little forced. For as much as I generally like this movie, there's some of the comedic stuff that feels a little it's not as smooth as I would like, I guess. Him throwing himself off the balcony in that one scene it's I don't know. It felt a little big for the rest of the movie, but it was fine.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm picking up on. And yeah, no, I enjoyed. I'm leading off with this was a delight. I'm a Shane Black kind of guy. I find his work good. So you're not going to see me shitting on a Shane Black thing. But that was the only.
This really cements why I think Shane Black is good, because there's so much stuff in this that would be so hateful in another hand. Years and years and years and many, many, many movies ago, we talked about Alien, the fourth one, Alien Resurrection, and how Joss Whedon was they read all my dialogue, they just pronounced it wrong, and how I thought that was a shitty excuse. But I do think in this case, this script could have gone so much more wrong in the hands of less competent actors and more hateful directors. Just thinking about the scene where they go to the burned down house and that weird kid pulls up and mentions how he's got a big penis, and stuff like that. That in the hands of Michael Bay, you would just hate everybody in that scene. But this is able to pull it off as still just this weird moment and not very gross or mean spirited or anything. And I think it's done very confidently, and I think it works really, really well, because it could have gone very badly.
Agreed. There's a lot of this that on paper, a different director or different actors, a lot of it could be downright irritating.
Yeah.
I think Russell Crowe is the real star because he is kind of funny in this, but he's not funny. He's got a really good line of that he's not going too funny, but he's still somewhat charming. It's really, I don't know. I think he's kind of really subtly played exactly the tone that character needs for you to not feel disgusted by him. Yeah. Even though he's doing despicable things, and still sort of be you're a bit of a asshole. You killed one guy and he was a horrible person, but I think tonally he really got it.
Well, and I think a lot of their patter works. It doesn't feel too phony and forced. it feels much more like they're genuinely reacting to the situation rather than, hey, this would be a funny joke for me to say. And I mean, some of that's, again, the performances are they're able to sell that. And I think Gosling and Crowe really play off each other very well.
Reminds me of Lethal Weapon.
I feel it's almost like a toned down version of Lethal Weapon, and a lot bleaker. Even though Mel Gibson is suicidal, that's still kind of treated as sort of silly. Probably all the Three Stooges noises he makes. But honestly,
is that in the first one? I thought those were in the sequels.
No, I think he always was.
Oh, does he? I haven't seen that movie in a really long time.
I've never seen 2. I think I've only seen 1 part of 3 and 4. If I have to think, like, honestly, like, my one complaint in this, and it's not even about the actor, is that the weak spot for me is probably Holly, the kid. Like, and he, like, Shane Black usually has kids, particularly like Lost Girls in his movies. But just something about that kind of like precocious, like, I actually keep it together, Penny from Inspector Gadget kind of character. It's a little hard to win me over with that. But I thought the actress, Anjuri Rice, was fantastic. I thought she was good, but just sometimes that character can be a little grating to me.
I'm won over by that. I like a precocious little kid. It got me. I'm a sucker for it. The one performance that I didn't like was Amelia.
Margaret Qualley.
Is that who that is?
Mm-hmm.
What do I know her from? Or does she just look like Zoe Deschanel and everyone else?
Yes, but she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was the hitchhiker Cliff Booth picks up.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay. Yeah. I was like, I thought that was her at first, but this is from like far enough back that I'm like, no, the age doesn't work. I guess she just looks young. It's not that it wasn't that she was bad. I think they could have done a lot better than that. It's just the performance was awkward.
Well, some of it, like some of the, like for lack of a better word, the sort of like left-wing stuff she says is so like broadly written that it's a little cartoonish, perhaps. And so I think maybe that adds to it. It's funny because when she lands on the car in her bare feet, I was like, oh, that's why she's in a Tarantino movie. But she's a fine actress. I'm sure it's not just that. She's a perfectly talented actress.
Yeah, that was her entire sizzle reel for Q2. It's just that one scene over and over again.
But yeah, I mean, and even then, like that, my sort of complaints about Holly is less the role itself than just that idea of that character. Because I think they generally handle it pretty well. And for that kind of the overarching themes of these messes of men, like needing another human being to sort of set them straight, I thought that kind of worked well. But they also, I think it's just like at the beginning, like when she shows up at the porn party and she's hanging out with them and it's not a big deal that a child is watching pornography. I felt a little weird about that maybe. But
well, it was the 70s.
I don't know.
Weird shit happened.
It still felt a little gross, but whatever.
Back in the 70s, that's when Taco Bell opened. Talk about a gas crisis.
Hey,
folks.
Wow.
Hey, fellas, you know what I'm talking about. Ladies, pick up your handbag.
That's like the joke the guy makes in this comedy club.
It was good. I mean, the guy was killing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm really glad they didn't have a like Ersatz Carlin or something on stage. Somebody that like a looky-alike that's like does somewhat similar humor. That could have easily happened, and it would have been really cringy.
Or something where it's because I saw like Tim Allen was a name on the Comedy Store as they drove by. Maybe an action scene happens at the Comedy Store, and then they punch Russell Crowe. And he goes, "Oh," and Tim Allen goes, "Hey."
Yes.
Or it's Tim Allen's cousin. He's like, "It's your cousin, Gary Allen."
This is your cousin, Mitt Allen. And then he stars in the porno as Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
But I do think going back to the how this could be very hateful. I think it tips off right at the beginning where you have this. The movie opens and this young boy is looking at a porno mag, like basically like a Playboy, and the centerfold. And they actually got the photographer who would do those centerfolds in the 70s to shoot that picture, which I thought was kind of
no
cool.
shit. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And he's like ogling and he's like, oh boy. And meanwhile, behind him, this car is careening down the hill. Like you can just see it through this window over his shoulder. It ends up being that woman in the photo, Misty Mountains. He goes to investigate the car wreck because he sees it drives through his house and goes to investigate, and he sees her there. She's mostly nude, shirt open. And she says, how do you like my car, big boy? Like as she's kind of passing out. And he covers her with his shirt. Like he takes off his shirt to cover her with it. And I'm like, that is this really sweet moment for like what you're witnessing. This is some guy that was just ogling ogling this one, but like in a real life situation, he's like, oh, well, I'm a nice guy.
It's a really good point. However, he's a pubescent teen, and he would have been humping that thing until it went cold.
Not everyone had your upbringing.
Wait, you're telling me there's audience members right now that as young men didn't commit light necrophilia? Because again, still warm. It counts.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna go ahead and speak for the audience and say no. If I'm not speaking for you, never mind. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
All right, be closed-minded. That's fine. Would it help if I said they signed a waiver first,
Nope,
Mr.
nope.
Consent is king?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nothing.
All right.
Nothing makes that good. We're introduced to Russell Crowe's character, who's basically like just a thug, I guess, because it kind of makes it seem like a
Thug for
private
hire,
but he's basically just a guy that you pay money to go find and beat someone up.
I'm a little lost in this part for the plot. So when we meet him, Amelia hires him to beat up who?
Well, he's hired by someone else first to
Yeah, he beats up like the pederast in the beginning. Yeah.
and then he's hired by Amelia because basically there's a couple of guys following her and she wants those guys to stop. These are the guys that
Okay.
come to his
Blue face
place
and that guy with the cool voice. Yeah.
Yes, Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David, that's it. Yeah. Okay, that's the part I kind of like I guess so she's hiring him for protection, not for breaking kneecaps.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of. She wouldn't, I'm sure she wouldn't be against him breaking their kneecaps, but just to have muscle to go like, hey, leave the Goyle alone.
Yeah. I hope they don't have that accent though.
He does. There's a special audio feature, you can make him talk like that.
That would be really disturbing if Keith David had like a stereotypical 30s gangster leave the Goyle alone, like that.
Yeah, see? And then you also have Holland March, played by Ryan Gosling, is hired by Misty Mountain's aunt to find Misty because she's certain that Misty is still alive. She's saw her through a window, blue pinstripe suit, writing something on sitting at a desk writing something. Holland March is a bit of a charlatan. Like he's an ex-cop, but he is private dick now. But he mainly it seems like he gets hired by a lot of old people that he swindles out of money. Because like he knows Misty Mountains is dead, but it's like, yeah, fine, I'll take your money and go look for your niece. Or like there's a scene at the beginning where an old woman, and I like this vaudeville joke, but she's like, my husband is missing, and he looks and he sees the urn on the mantle that has the husband's name on it. And he was like, when was the last time you saw him? And she's like, well, at the funeral.
Yeah. So when we meet him, he's in a tub, fully besuited. Mm-hmm. And is this supposed to be alcoholism? Is that what we're supposed to portray?
Yes.
I've drank a fair amount in my life. I've never gone into the tub fully clothed. That seems a stretch.
Well, I'm a cool drunk is the thing, so I wouldn't know how any of this stuff works. But yeah, basically, it's the idea is that he got out of control drunk and decided to take a bath still wearing a suit. I don't know. They don't really go into it.
And at some point he tattooed "You will never be happy" on his hand.
When it comes back later, it's not really that exciting. It's not really. If you lost those two bits, I don't think it would have made a huge difference to the character development. It just sort of puts a button on it at the end. But
yeah, what I did like though with his character Ryan Gosling is I think probably for the first time in a movie that we saw, he's tortured emotionally because his wife's dead. Uh-huh. Which I think is a John and Alex Hate Stuff first, that there's a male that's tortured internally and his emotions are uproarial because his wife died.
Yeah.
It's very rare in movies.
Usually that happens because the wife's still alive. Huh, fellas? Am I right?
Hey, yeah, hey, you in the back, you know what I'm talking about.
This guy gets it.
Real tired of that. I say this every episode, but I really feel like that's an indictment on movie making. Mm-hmm. Is we're not doing the your wife is dead thematic thing on the show, which is every fucking movie with a guy that's supposed to have emotional depth has a dead wife. You know what I do like about his background, like not sarcastically. There seems to be a lot of like backstory to his hatred of ventriloquists. Mm-hmm. It might be my favorite back and forth in the film, where it's like, no, ventriloquists, no, you can always see them out there. You can always see. And he's got like this like passionate anger behind his eyes about ventriloquists moving their lips. I was like, oh, that's a backstory I need. Like they should have like a glass dummy the nice guy story, and it's the prequel where you just find out Ryan Gosling and his abusive ventriloquist father.
Kind of same thing where when what little we know about Healy's backstory, about Russell Crowe's backstory, is like there's this he makes some line, he has some line earlier about marriage being you buying a house for someone that you hate. That's what marriage is, and we know that he's from a collapsed marriage. But the only thing we see of that is him in a restaurant and his wife going, "Oh, I'm fucking your dad." And then he does like a spit take. And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then that's it. They move on. And that kind of explains, helps explain him not drinking and then, how his life's kind of in shambles. But they don't spend a whole lot of time on it. They just give you just enough. And it's still just a funny bit. But I like that it does the double duty. But so those two people that Amelia has hired Healy to deal with show up at his place. He lives like above he lives above a comedy place, doesn't he?
I think he lives above the Comedy Store.
Yeah, he lives above the Comedy Store, and there's a couple people in his apartment. One of them played by the aforementioned Keith David, who's always good. And it's one of those where it's like, man, you had Keith David. He should have been in this so much more than he was. But okay, fine.
I thought he was in it like the perfect amount. He was great in every scene.
I just always want
perfect voice.
Want more of Keith David. This other guy, Bo Knapp, is the actor who plays a character that is basically only named Blueface, and he's called that because while they're roughing up Russell Crowe and going through his stuff, they find a bag, and Russell Crowe's like, "Don't open that bag. I'm just holding it for someone. If you open it," and the guy opens it, boom, dye pack blows up on his face, and his face is dyed blue for the rest of the movie. And I thought I like that guy because he's a villain throughout, but he's like just a Weasley piece of shit. I thought that performance was fun.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah,
he reminded me a little bit of Stephen Keats in Friends of Eddie Coyle, like as Jackie Brown in that. Jackie Brown on cocaine. So I got a kick out of that. But so I
do like that dye pack thing is a funny, like, it's funny runner because not runner, but there's no backstory there. Yeah. Like, why do you have a dye pack that you're holding for a friend? Like, there's so much kind of, that's why I like the writing on this. It's like there's a lot of kind of implied stuff that happens off screen.
Well, it's kind of like what used to make Star Wars great, when they could say, "Oh, he served in the Clone Wars," and you're like, "What the hell is that? That sounds awesome." Yeah. That there's just this. No, I've given this thing a life, a location here in the movie, and a history to it. That's all you need to know, because Russell Crowe hangs with some weird characters, and one of them asked him to hold a bag that has a dye pack.
Wait, but you're saying you don't need to know the backstory of Figrin D'an and the modal nodes? I mean, come on.
I don't. Well, because I know it all already.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the only way I like about Star Wars is I like the minutia. That's my favorite thing. I don't like any of that storytelling or emotions. No, give me that sweet Ponda Baba. I don't know, the backstory of that librarian lady that I think fucked Count Dooku.
Anyway, so yeah, there's a little bit of an action scene there, which is kind of fun. I like all the action scenes in this. I think because they remind me of like 80s and 90s action movies where there's just like people ducking and shooting at each other and not doing kung fu and stuff.
Yeah. Every car is made out of 6 inches of steel somehow. Yeah.
Russell Crowe ends up also going and beating up Ryan Gosling because he thinks Ryan Gosling is one of the people after her, because he's been searching for her because Amelia might know where Misty Mountains is. Russell Crowe shows up, threatens him, beats crowd. Ryan Gosling just gives it all up right away, which I thought was very funny. Because he's no, whatever, I don't care. And Russell Crowe breaks his arm anyway. I'm sorry, because that happens before the Blueface attack. And then after that, Russell Crowe's like, okay, well, what's going on? Because I know these guys are related to Amelia too. She was finding you. And so like he and Ryan Gosling end up teaming up.
Yeah, and they go to Amelia's protest group that they're protesting air pollution.
Yeah, the smog.
Yeah, it felt Portlandy, of just a bunch of people protesting, and it doesn't seem to be like, what are you protesting? Air.
Yeah. Well, it made me think of the was it the Truth? Those like anti-smoking ads that ended up being, I think they were funded by the tobacco companies. Where it's like, we're going to do a die-in front of this tobacco company. And it's, they were doing a die-in at City Hall of people wearing gas masks, pretending to be dead because the smog was so bad and it's killing the birds.
Yeah, I did like the Russell Crowe's line of, what, the gas mask didn't save you?
Yeah, and like I was worried, again, like this was something where I was worried that like this was going to be a sort of more 80s kind of reactionary thing. Where I was like, I'll look at these idiots trying to care about things and these stupid protesters and like that. And while that's true in the scene, and they are kind of silly, I do think that the politics of the movie go in a different direction, particularly towards the end. Yeah, they find a dude. They're like calling out for Amelia. No one's answering. They're like, no, she's not here. Finally, one guy's willing. He's like, who wants to make $20? One hand comes up. So this guy, Chet, willing to show where Amelia's boyfriend lives and take them there. And they go there, and it's a burnt down house. And her boyfriend was a experimental filmmaker. Had a bunch of, according to Chet, had a bunch of film stock that went up in flames, burned down the house. And that's when they meet the weird kid, because there's a kid riding by, and they ask about if he had seen anyone in the area. And he's like, oh, yeah, Misty Mountains. I saw her. And yeah, he sees the producer whose name was Hat Rack. He's like, no one's name is Hat Rack. And he's like, yeah, I was trying to get a job because I got a big dick. Do you want to see it? Like, no, I don't want to see your dick. And then they find out that the movie was called Hey Baby.
It was like, Hey Baby, want to drive in my car or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're starting to get, oh my gosh, there might be ties there. So they figure out that it's Sid Shattuck, not Hat Rack, but he's a porno financier. I don't remember how they get to the party.
I think they just drive there.
They
I
just
mean,
go
literally,
yeah.
I think they just show up, valet park their car, and they roll in, and it's decadent and 70s and porno, and Ryan Gosling immediately proceeds to get shit-faced hammered.
Yeah.
And that leads us into his comical falling down the cliff thing. Also, he's swimming with the mermaid girls in the one point, and it's a little much.
His daughter has come with them as well. She is hidden in the back of his trunk because she wants to be part of this, and he tries to put her in a cab and send her home. But then later, when Russell Crowe's doing some investigating, finds her there. And I like also finds like Sid Shattuck's like an office where there's he finds a blue pinstripe suit that says, "Hey baby, how do you like my car?" It's got a note in there.
It's a clue.
And some empty film canisters and stuff. And then runs into Keith David, and then they get into a big fight. And I like this fight, like particularly when he shoots, because Keith David has him like face down in a hot tub, and he like shoots through the hot tub.
Yeah, that was cool. Though I was really grossed out by his face being in that hot tub. That's a lot of herpes. Like there's a lot of gross in that tub.
Hot tubs are gross in general.
Yeah, and then hot tubs at a porno fucking party
in the 70s. Like they're just hair clogs just floating around that thing. No thanks.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
After Ryan Gosling, he's trying to flirt with some porno actress, and as Alex said, falls off a balcony. Tumbles down a hillside, sees Amelia, doesn't realize it's Amelia. But Amelia goes running off, and then he discovers a dead body with its half its face blown off. And he does a very, very much like an Abbott Costello reaction.
Yeah.
He can't talk. And the only reason I know that is because of The Simpsons. Is that where...
That, I think, is why I know that as well.
The Dracula episode, the Halloween one where it's Dracula. It's like, no, I've seen your Costello. I've seen your Shemp.
You know who plays Sid Shattuck?
Me?
No. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, really?
Played the body of Sid Shattuck.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because he was in another Shane Black classic, a Blassic, Black-sick? No, none of that works. Yeah, he was in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer, which is a very funny movie. Shane Black is good at what he does.
Also, Iron Man 3.
He was in Iron Man 3. It was another Shane Black movie. I've not seen that one, though.
Did you notice that when they're walking by a porno theater and one of the pornos showing is Bang Bang Kiss Kiss?
No.
Yeah. It's good little background joke. So we get another action sequence of Blueface guy trying to kill Amelia, and then Russell Crowe, the Blueface guy gets hit by a car. Then Russell Crowe chokes him to death, and it's exciting.
Blueface reveals that his boss has dispatched a tough-as-nails hitman named John Boy. It's going to come and kill everybody. So we know that character exists now. And then, Russell Crowe just puts a cloth over his hand and just chokes him out, finishes the job. Because Blueface was fucked up. That was a really impressive stunt, technical bit of filmmaking, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that looked gross.
Yeah, because he just gets whaled by a van that just drives out. Police arrive on the scene, as does a mysterious woman, Judith Kuttner, played by Kim Basinger, or Basinger. I don't remember which is the correct pronunciation.
Fuck if I know.
I was very excited to see that, just because that's someone who's kind of gracefully, it seems, retired. I've not seen a lot with Kim Basinger, and I haven't seen a lot of Kim Basinger trying to hold on to something. You know what I mean? In the way Madonna does, where it's oh man, just you. Stop, just be Madonna. You don't need to try to be still cool. So it's just nice to see.
Yeah.
I've always liked her as an actress, so it was neat to see her.
Yeah, you don't like her enough to bother to remember, figure out how to say her name.
No, I don't have to. That's not part of the deal.
All right. Hey, the Jerk Store called, and they said, we don't exist.
They called you up to tell you that they don't exist.
Yeah, it's like a weird thought experiment. It's like the ship
Yeah.
of Theseus.
Yeah.
So they end up meeting Kim Basinger, and turns out that she is like a high muckety muck in the Justice Department. And Amelia, that's her daughter, the fruit of her own very loins.
Yeah.
And so she hires them to find Amelia. So they're getting like I don't know, triple paid to fucking find this lady.
Basically, and I love that because you see she's this high powered attorney in the DOJ and is currently embroiled in a case against the car manufacturer, something about a catalytic converter. She goes to hire them. She starts writing a check for $10,000 as Ryan Gosling is like, all right, this is going to be expensive. We need at least $5,000. And she just tears up the check and writes one for $5,000. And I just like that because it's clearly a win for Ryan Gosling, but we know better.
Yeah, you get a fucking house for $5,000 back then.
Yeah, I mean, these people, these characters are like dumb, broken. Well, particularly Ryan Gosling is dumb, but like broken jerks. You're still rooting for them the whole time, and I think some of that's just the performances. Again, they make them so likable and charming. Because even when they're fucking up, and this is a regular trope of a lot of like noir and mysteries. But I always love when a main character just gets the shit kicked out of him throughout the entire movie. I don't know why I'm always
that's fun.
Maybe I blame Bruce Campbell for that.
So they get a clue that they're going to go to this airport hotel. Where they think Amelia is. There's a just hilarious sequence where they take the elevator up to the penthouse to try to get Amelia, and there is an absolute slaughter going on, like off screen. And they kind of stick their head out of the elevator and just nope the fuck out. And you see people flying out of the window behind them and shit. It's great.
Yeah, again, like there's a couple moments of violence that made me uncomfortable, like this, and the car crashing in the background at the very beginning, where it's like these people are consciously deciding to not really like take a part in this. This is violence happening around them. But there's the bit where Russell Crowe is fighting with Blueface and Keith David in his office. Does something to make Blueface like misfire his gun, shoots through a window and hits a woman. And it's like, don't worry about it. Moving on.
Yeah.
I know it's an action movie, but that felt a little strange.
Yeah, it was like very direct.
If it's like another bad guy or something, it'd be like whatever. But yeah, it's like, you made a point to show me that this woman got shot, and then like nothing came of it. It was like, oh, okay.
Well, we could have gotten lucky. It could have been Mitzi Shore.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I do like in this particular moment, that they're too late. They think they're gonna find Amelia with like a distributor or something. There's something to do with the porno film. They don't show up to the murder having happened. The murder is happening currently. There's just a bloodbath going on.
Yeah.
Their interactions just with each other about it. Again, it's like, it's so much less of a like, well, that happened versus them like actually react to it. Like as they're riding the elevator down, you see like Ryan Gosling like shaking. And I thought that was a great little bit.
Yeah, they're good against each other. Yeah, that leads to the discussion we had earlier about the Quentin Tarantino scene of Amelia showing up and having her feet in full view. Which gets us back to Marcia's house.
When they first meet Kim Basinger, like Ryan Gosling is like become very enamored with her assistant, and her assistant is very good with his daughter, and she's very cute, and so he's like, oh golly. She calls him and is like, hey, we have some news about Amelia, and he's like, so do I, and just immediately gives up that Amelia is there. Amelia, in the interim, I suppose we should say before this, Amelia sort of regains consciousness a bit and starts laying out that, she's afraid of her mom. Her mom tells them that she's afraid of her mom because she's the government and she's just acting out as a teen or whatever. But she's like, no. Specifically, my mom is laying down for the big three automakers. She's not going to really prosecute them. They're going to get away with doing this pollution causing stuff that they're doing. We tried to get this information out there by making this movie. Like we had files on these people or whatever. And so we're going to make this movie. Yes, it was a porno. That was the commercial element to it, which I always thought was is a very funny line. But then we were going to expose these people. And then that way, once it's out there, they can't do anything about it. So we just go to the cops now, like nothing's going to happen, or because my mom is the cops. And they're like, well, boy, you're just a paranoid weirdo. And then Tolly, Judith's assistant, calls. Ryan Gosling is just enamored that she's so excited that she's calling him. She's like, well, we figured out what the cause of all this. Judith wants you, or we're supposed to deliver a briefcase of $100,000. I'm afraid to do it. You're a big, strong man. Will you go do it for me? In the meantime, we'll send the family doctor to your house to check up on Amelia. And Gosling's like, okay. He and Russell Crowe leave. This part was a little like strained credulity a little bit because I can see Ryan Gosling doing this, but like Russell Crowe also being involved seems strange.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he'd be like, why would we just leave her here? But it's a minor point. I don't really care that much.
Them not checking the money, or Russell Crowe at least not checking that the money's all there, or
Yeah.
at least, mostly there, is a little pushing boundaries of credulity. And there's also, so here's the question about the $100,000. So it turns out, we find out shortly that it's fake. Why did they need to do a fake $100,000 thing? What did that benefit anyone?
It got them out of the house. It got them away from Amelia.
Oh, it was purely just a way to get them back. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Well
and
done.
I think this is something we've talked about before on the show, where in terms of like suspension of disbelief, if I'm having fun, I don't care. And this is one of those cases where I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. I get to go hang out with these guys some more. That sounds great. And it's a very funny scene because Ryan Gosling's alcoholism has gotten them into trouble before, and they're driving and talking, and then Russell Crowe starts talking about how he's always prepared because he's got a gun on his ankle, and that looks cool. And Ryan Gosling's very impressed by that. And then he's like, "I'm falling asleep behind the wheel. Will you drive for him?" And he's like, "No, just let go of the wheel, man. Cars will just drive themselves. They've been at this for some time." And it's very it just automatically becomes this very dreamy scene until a giant killer bee is in the back.
Yeah.
Is like, "Yeah, man, you have been around." He's like, "What do you know? You fly everywhere." And then they get into a car accident and reveal the briefcase flies open, reveals it's all just torn newspaper. Which I like the little runner throughout about the killer bees, because earlier Ryan Gosling is reading newspaper about the killer bees, and he's talking to the bartender about the killer bees. And he's like, "You know why they call them that, right? Because they'll kill you." And it's just, it's delivered, as a very straight thing. And then Ryan Gosling's reaction is like, "Yeah, man, totally."
Yeah, the bee in the back was Hannibal Buress, by the way.
That's okay. I thought so. I meant to double check that, and I just got distracted by the rest of the movie. But that's very funny. So they realize that that's a phony deal. John Boy, this guy John Boy shows up. They call him that because he looks like John Boy Walton, a popular TV series at the time, The Waltons, in that he has a giant mole on his face. I only know that because the actor that was John Boy was in the TV movie of It, and he has the same mole in that. That scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
It or the mole? Yeah.
It.
Oh, I thought you were like worried about like melanomas and stuff.
No, I did not care. He erupts, and at first I thought it was Henry Cavill. At first
he's got a Henry Cavill look about him.
I was taken aback. Yeah, but I really like this guy. The actor that plays him, Matt Bomer. He's, as far as like this kind of stock character of this sort of put together cold-blooded psychopath, honestly made me think of another Shane Black movie. Well, he wrote it, The Last Boy Scout, and Taylor Negron in that movie as like the killer. The guy, he ends up falling into the helicopter blades at the end. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But just like this kind of dapper, whatever. But he's clearly
this guy
psychotic.
reminded me of Dexter's brother on the show Dexter. I don't know if you watched it long enough to get to his brother.
I think I made it through the John Lithgow season, and then the season after.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think I stopped. I don't remember his brother.
Oh, okay. So yeah, his brother was season 1 and 2. I remember his brother like starts banging Deb. And,
yeah, I don't.
What are you, some kind of idiot? Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
No, I don't.
He just
like,
reminded me of it.
Because like as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, there were 2 of them. That's right. He had a brother. I just don't even remember that character. Wow.
Well, you should feel bad, and here's why you should feel bad. Because I just watched this movie earlier today, and I've forgotten 85% of it.
I think I probably put it away because I just remember thinking that most of the extended cast, the cast that was not Dexter, was awful. And I hated them. So I probably forgot about that a lot. Did he have a brother? I thought he had a sister.
He has his sister is like the second lead of the show.
Yeah.
And he had a brother who was, his brother was the ice truck killer from.
Do not remember.
That's like the whole plot of season 1 is the ice truck killer.
Yeah. Don't recall.
And then I think season 2, there's 2 full seasons. And I think it's revealed it's his brother. And then there's a full season of that, going around. And then he shows up in kind of psychotic flashes across the rest of the series.
Oh, okay. Looking at him now. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
like that guy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Totally. Yes. I can definitely see that now. Man, I don't remember that show.
I was starting to get worried about your memory there. Because, I'm a fucking sieve, but, that's like a big, that was the point of the show.
Memory holds so much of that. I was just like, I don't like the show anymore. I don't even remember it. It's like I've watched so much House. I watched a shit ton of House, but I could probably start from the beginning and not remember any of it. It's gone. But anyway, so, and this is impressive because this, like when John Boy shows up, the only people at Marcia's house are his daughter, his daughter's friend, Jessica. That was a moment that I did not really enjoy.
Janet.
Sorry, when they're at his house, I thought you were at Jessica's house. He's like, no, Janet, I'm here. Sorry, my sister kicked me out. I was like, your sister's such a slut. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I know times were, well, it's 2016. Yeah. Times weren't that different, but it still just felt like I could have done without that. Not a big deal.
I mean, it felt like an old man rating it, which is what it is.
It's funny. He and this little kid are agreeing on this, but I don't know. It just was, particularly in a movie like routinely about like pornography and stuff like that. That was a weird jive.
Yeah, that line caught me too.
Yeah. But so this other little girl that's there, John Boy ends up taking her and throwing her through a window.
That was awesome.
Completely unexpected. That's how you know this guy means business. Right when they arrive, like that has happened, like right as they arrive. And John Boy is leaving the house. They don't know who he is. And Healy is like, Marcia's like, did you just hear that sound? You know what happened? And John Boy walks to the trunk of his car. He's like, yeah, I think I heard that was me. I was throwing a little girl through the window, and then start shooting at them.
Yeah.
And then, there's just another 90s, 80s action scene of people ducking behind things and shooting at each other, which I enjoyed.
We need to bring up that apparently Russell Crowe in this movie, Healy in this movie, is really good at front dive rolls. Mm-hmm. There's at least there's 2 or maybe 3 in the film where he jumps over something rather high and dive rolls into it. I'm like, man, he's proud of that move, huh?
Yeah. In the interim, I do like we skipped over this, but I do like the other little piece of Healy backstory you get is that Judith's assistant Tally recognizes Healy as the diner guy.
Oh yeah.
And Ryan Gosling, like after meeting Ryan Gosling, like, you got to tell me about that. Passes out on a diving board while Russell Crowe is telling the story. We also learn. Well, we'll get into Ryan Gosling's backstory. We already talked about it a little bit, but we learned that he was at a diner. And again, they don't really underline it, but like he was drunk at the diner and he like beats the shit. There's a guy like trying to rob the place and he just beats the shit out of the guy, gets shot in the arm with like a shotgun pellet. And then it's just like, you just see him like cracking the guy's skull with the shotgun butt. It was very impressive. And you see it as that being this turning point for him in terms of like, well, I went too far there, but I like doing this. And so you get a little bit of like how he even got into this business, but you also know that he's a guy that like needs to set limits for himself.
Yeah.
And I like how subtly that's done throughout this. But Ryan Gosling's backstory, we talked about a little bit, where his house burned down and his daughter sits where the house is and reads, which I thought was a little eye-rolly, but whatever.
Oh, so well, the other thing was, so this action sequence that's happening with the fake doctor, there's a big gunfight. Mm-hmm. Amelia runs away during this, during the fracas. She runs out through the woods and tries to flag down a car to get a ride. And she flags down the guy that just shot up the house. And then just from like a I don't know what you call that, like a distance shot almost. Yeah. Like you just see a gun muzzle flash from inside the car. Amelia's dead on the ground. It's like, whoa, that's not what I thought was going to happen in this movie.
Well, I also like it because it's like, well, fair's fair, I guess, because they just stumbled on her. Why not the other guy stumbling on her?
Yeah.
You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander and all that. Because, she pops out. She bails in the house as soon as the fighting starts. And, flies on this car. And, John Boyd's like, whoa. And, you think, like, oh, he's going to kidnap her. No, he just shoots her. So now they have even more reason to, like, finish this out because, well, shit, this was a young girl that just got murdered on our watch. We gotta do something about this. Because I like, there was already a thing earlier about how, well, we know where Amelia is, so we can charge more money to the mom to find it later. Like the daughter, Marcia's daughter outlines this plan. And you get this, and Ryan Gosling.
He's a good dad.
Yes.
Teaching his kid economics.
The next morning, Marge Healy released, and then they're back at the house surveying the damage, and then Mrs. Glenn shows up, the old woman from the beginning that saw Misty Mountains at a desk, and it's like, why haven't you been paying attention to me? You got to tell me where my niece is. And they kind of realize, well, wait a minute. She saw her 2 days after the murder, apparently. Russell Crowe found the same jacket with the movie title attached with the movie title in Shattuck's office. Where did you see her? Take us there. They go to Misty's and realize that she had a film projector, that what she saw was the film was Misty Mountains on film. She didn't actually see her daughter. She was watching the porno through the window, basically.
And who hasn't that happened to?
But then they realize, they find a note at Misty's house. And this was also, again, like rather convenient. There was a note from Chet about opening night. like that, which, I guess the police just went, well, I'm sure this isn't necessary. Don't worry about it. We'll just leave this here and move on. And they figure out that there must be another copy of the movie. It's going to play at the Los Angeles Auto Show. Then what follows is the whole big action sequence, basically, at the final thing. They find out that Chet has spliced the porno into a different film that's going to be playing. John Boy and other goons are there trying to stop it from being shown and trying to find Chet. They beat the shit out of Chet, throw him in a dumpster. Russell Crowe finds him and finds out where the movie is. I like where March gets into a fight with Keith David's character, who's just called Older Guy, ends up like shooting him. He tries to grab the daughter, Holly, as he's falling off the roof. Marsh saves her, but then he and Older Guy like fall off the roof into the pool. And then when he gets back out, like he survives because he wasn't shot and landed in a pool. And in movie logic, that's fine. But I like that he thinks he's invincible after that. Because Russell Crowe's like,
I get that.
Fall through? He's like, yeah, no, I don't think I can be killed. They don't play with that too much. You know what I mean? They don't turn it into like a whole bit. But I still thought it was very funny. They have a confrontation with Tally, who reveals that like, yeah, no, I've killed people before. I'm here to stop you guys. I like when Ryan Gosling goes and dives for Russell Crowe's ankle gun, which doesn't exist. He just dreamed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought that was a fun callback.
Oh, we also missed when March falls in the pool, he sees a vision of Richard Nixon, which is a callback to an earlier story about how it's seeing Richard Nixon on your deathbed. Just the two random dream hallucination sequences in this movie are both pretty great.
Which I like that bit as well, because they're like Russell Crowe tells him this story about someone who like on the verge of death. Richard Nixon tells him like, you're going to be okay. And then Ryan Gosling, that's a really long drawn out story to tell me there are two ways to look at things. And it's a funny moment because it isn't just, I've talked about this before where it's, like movies will say something stupid and then talk about how stupid it is. And it's like, well, yeah, but you did that as a choice. Whereas again, like this comes from the character. So they just turn it into a fun relationship thing with them while also getting the point across rather than just be like, isn't it funny how we wasted your time? Ha 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 ha. It's just so much less like Winky. I think it's that, so it's the confidence of this movie. And I feel like that's sometimes what irritates me about that Whedon style dialogue is that so often it is so much this like hedging of bets. It's like, yeah, but we're dumb, but we kind of know it. Wink, wink, wink. Whereas this is just like, no, we're going to do this. And it's fun. And it's great.
Yeah. Commits to the bit. So the good guys win.
Yeah, they end up getting the film.
It plays. The DA lady is arrested, but she said it was the boys from Detroit that actually wanted Amelia to die. Basically, the bad guys kind of win because the automakers don't have to pay for anything for being in collusion for the catalytic converters. Yeah, rich people with money win. Then they go to a bar on Christmas Eve, which is, my life. So that's good.
Yeah, kind of Chinatown in that way. But it's a phenomenally bleak ending, despite kind of how it's presented, because they meet with Judith and she's like, if it's not me, it's going to be someone else. Like you may have I might be arrested and going away, but someone else is just going to do this. This is just, you can't stop this stuff. You can't beat Detroit. I mean, eventually Detroit is beaten, but not because of any, right-thinking people or anything like that. It's just that different other greedy people made moves. After that, it's sometime later, they go to they're at a bar. Russell Crowe walks into Ryan Gosling walks into a bar. His daughter is there, just standing at the door, waiting, which is just already kind of quietly desperate. It's Christmas because it's a Shane Black movie and they frequently happen around Christmas. Points in where Russell Crowe is. Russell Crowe is at the bar, shit-faced, like drinking out of the bottle. They're like, well, they kind of go over what you just said, like, well, that we kind of lost basically, but hey, we got paid. Ryan Gosling reveals that, hey, we have this, look, I changed my ad in the phone book. Your picture is now in there too. What a start of a beautiful friendship. They cheers, Ryan Gosling with his glass, Russell Crowe with the bottle. And they even make a comment about how Russell Crowe is off the wagon and he's drinking again. So everything is like worse for these guys now. Like Ryan Gosling is like, okay, well, maybe I like myself slightly less. Or slightly better. I'm still drinking a ton. That hasn't changed. There's been conversations about how problematic my alcoholism is. That's what changed. His daughter is just stuck at the door waiting to probably drive him home later. And then Russell Crowe's only gotten worse. And so, yeah, but it's like nice guys do finish last, but whatever. We're still going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just presented as this happy moment. And it comes off as that. And I think that with like that, being this lovely counterpoint to the bleakness underneath, I thought was a perfect way to end this.
Yeah. No, I do. That's that Shane Black style writing. I like it very much. Mm-hmm. Russell Crowe, Healy, gets up to go to the bathroom and he steps on like a small skateboard wheel and he like starts sliding across the room and he goes, oh, I have an idea. And then they say 10 years later and they show the box of the Heelys. And, little did you know, this was the backstory.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be he stepped on a wheel and wait a minute, I have an idea, and then killed himself.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a better ending. I like this movie very much. Everybody should watch it.
It's a lot of fun, and like, I mean, we went over just the broad plot elements of it, but like again, like their interplay, it's crackling, baby, energy. It's so much fun. I always like those like kind of noir-y things where, I mean, it's not uncommon for just like what starts as a simple mystery broadens, but particularly when it gets big into like society in general. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it's like, ultimately it's about the LA freeway system, or there's that TV show Terriers that it's like, it ended up being like about an airport, I think, or something like that. But just how it's these tiny microcosms like blow up into something much bigger. And I'm always a sucker for that. Particularly when it's about sort of the, not like, it's just a conspiracy that goes all the way to the president, but it is sort of about like the technology or, whatever, like some big societal change that's happening.
Yeah.
Kiss Me Deadly, like it's kind of like nuclear panic it ends up being at the heart of the whole thing. Yeah. So I always like that. And this is just another fun, I don't know, Shane Black, when he does these kind of movies, to me, a couple of buddy cop things can't go wrong. I can't think of a bad one he's done.
Yeah. I mean, he's great.
Well, no, never mind. Okay. Because I did see Lethal Weapon 4, but he's only responsible for the characters. Lethal Weapon 4 is shit. Lethal Weapon 4 is a white guy and a black guy team up to be racist as fuck to the Chinese. And it's
that's one with Jet Li in, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Speaking of recommendations, John, you have any recommendations?
Oh, yes. I started, it just got revealed that it's not being picked up for another season, which is not surprising based on HBO Max's current behavior of just getting rid of everything. Los Spookies is an HBO show I've been enjoying very much. I started rewatching that, and despite Fred Armisen being in it, I really enjoy it. Actually, I think he's more than just in it. I think he helped create the show. It's a very funny show. It's very silly. It's about like this like group of friends who are really into horror, and they kind of like get jobs doing these like haunted house things. It's ridiculous. It's more fun to just kind of watch it unfold. But yeah, highly recommend that show. And then another movie I didn't finish and I don't recommend, but I feel like it should be on people's radar simply because it's poisoned my brain. And so I need to get it out there. It's like the videotape in the ring. It's a movie called The Milky Life. And it stars Mickey Rooney. It was made in like the early 90s. I want to say like 93. Mickey Rooney plays a billionaire who has got this clan of like, he hates his family. His family's all greedy jerks. And he's like, well, you know what? I decided I want to live the last few years of my life being happy. Who's happiest is babies. So I'm going to be a baby. He becomes an adult baby diaper lover guy, hires a wet nurse, ends up falling in love with her, and then the family kind of has to deal with that. So if you've ever wanted to see Mickey Rooney get breastfed, A Milky Life, check it out.
That is, I'm not going to, but that is something.
Check it out, I said.
I have a movie, little indie movie, pretty low budget, auteur director, may have heard of it. I was flipping through a Roku channel last night that like plays random movies, and I ended up getting sucked into watching Jaws.
Oh,
and I haven't seen Jaws in years, and I just got to tell you, it holds up really well. I haven't really anything I've watched recently has been kind of boring. So like I was like, man, I really like Jaws, and ended up watching the whole thing and stayed up too late. It's a delightful movie. This young chap, Steven Spielberg, I think he's going to go places. So check it out. Jaws.
All right. Brave stance. But I appreciate you.
I mean, literally anything. Here's what I'm going to tell people. This is why I have no recommendations. Lately, I've been watching The Curse of Oak Island on the History Channel, which is just the trash of trashiest TV. And I've been watching those YouTube react channels where like somebody watches an old movie for the first time.
Oh man! Whoa.
So like, yeah,
that makes me feel better about A Milky Life.
Yeah, I'm in such a bad place, like with entertainment wise. I'm like, I got nothing to recommend here. So Jaws.
Well, that's what happened because we're actually recording this earlier than we normally do, and I only watched that Mickey Rooney thing. It relates to that we just did Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 on that other podcast, and the guest mentioned that movie. And so I was like, well, I have to check this out. And then I realized when it was like, oh, wait a minute, I have to give recommendations. This is the only thing I've watched since we last recorded that wasn't and or the other movie. So I'm like, fuck, I got to watch it. Oh, it's Locust of Spooky. Thank God. Thank you, HBO.
Yeah.
So next time I'd like to revisit the world of that detective from Knives Out, whose name I don't remember because he was the most boring character.
Wait, you mean Detective Benoit Blanc?
Yeah, that's him. I'd like to see him get involved with another crazy cast of character whose politics all come from Twitter. I hope that's a movie that's available.
The only one I can think of is named after a Beatles song. Is that all right?
Sure. I Want to Hold Your Hand. No, Octopus's Garden.
No. It's
Cop Killer.
Rocket Raccoon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're going to be watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and by that I mean Glass Onion.
Glass
a Knives
Onion.
Out mystery.
I'm looking forward to it.
Which I made an awkward joke about earlier in this episode that probably won't survive the edit.
You can listen to the Knives Out episode. I had mixed feelings about it, but generally it's all right. So I'm curious. I've heard this one's a lot of fun, and we can talk about how dumb Netflix was with this one, regardless of how we think about the movie.
We can also discuss the recent Daniel Craig's trying to get his image to change with his sexy dancing in a vodka advertisement.
Ooh, I haven't seen this, but
Yeah, directed by Taika Waititi.
I just recommended a movie where Mickey Rooney breastfeeds. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm not watching that ad at all.
Oh, that's what it is.
Fine.
So that, so we're going to do The Glass Onion. And people at home, I just want to remind you that we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/AlexBollen, ALEXXBOLLEN. And the good thing about that is we've been doing it for a while now, and there's like a whole fuckload of backlogged episodes you've never heard. We've done a bunch of, specially bespoke Patreon episodes. So this episode comes out, right before Christmas. And, if you're looking to give a little Christmas present to, John and I, how about a little cha-ching up in the Patreon, and you get rewarded with brand new episodes. So do that. If not that, tell your friends, share us on Twitter, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But do the Patreon though. That's like that's actually like the good one. Just do that. Yeah.
And have a happy holidays.
Yeah. I don't, the statements of John are not necessarily the opinions of the entire John and Alex Hate Stuff Inc.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what I'm saying is, I don't like your war on Christmas. So I'm saying have a very happy Feast of Sol Invictus, as the Romans truly intended us to celebrate.
That's true. Those Romans, they were onto something. Bring back vomitoriums.
Indeed. All right. See you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.